Hello everybody, Stephanie here. Greetings from the homestead, I guess you would say. Hey, it's been a while. Thanks to everybody who continuously checks in to make sure everything is okay. I really do appreciate that. It means the world to me that you all look out and then maybe even miss seeing my face or hearing whatever lesson I'm learning in this season of life. But it has been a while and it's been a purposeful break. And I'm going to try not to really get into it because, we'll get into that later. But anyway, Facebook, as Facebook does in the memories, reminded me that today, a year ago today, I took my long-standing blog live for the first time. And that's changed things because, I blogged for several years and pretty consistently, essentially enlightened, all one word, if you want to look it up. And I was blogging the year of yoga, and somebody made the comment about, we had gone live a couple times from, I don't remember where we were, but anyway, I realized that we were reaching more people in that capacity. Hey, Artie. I meant to tell you today that you would see me, so let me shout out to Artie. That it would be really nice going into these yoga studios if I came live, because then the hardest part for most people is to walk across the threshold, walk into a new situation, whether it be yoga or anything else, and then actually taking somebody live and doing that hardest part with them makes it a little easier. And so I found there to be some truth to that, and so that's what I did. And we started coming live more often, and the reason for that was we were reaching more people in that capacity. And not only that, it did give me some more time, because writing, I would go back, I love to write, and it would take me a lot longer to write a blog post than it would for me to come live. And so it gave me more time to write the book that I had been working on. And anyway, that's kind of fallen by the wayside. And so a year, and I was thinking, I would constantly come to these places where we have these anniversaries, whether it be in relationships or whether it be in loss. That's a lot of times one of the hardest ones, where I think of anniversary, like every year on this date. It seems to be more of a loss situation than it seems to be, positive one. I'm usually really terrible with dates, which is really interesting as to why those hard ones I seem to remember. My own anniversary, I have to think about when Jacob's birthday is and then come up with the date. It's awful. So Neil never has to be the one to get in trouble about forgetting. I'm the one who forgets. And birthdays, like at this point, I know what date I was born on, but I really cannot tell you how old I am. Most days I really have to count it. I'm just not one of those people who usually focuses on those things. But Facebook has that nice ability to send those memories to us. They come up and pop up in our feed, and sometimes they're heartful because they remind you of loss, and sometimes they're really cute, and sometimes they're bittersweet. But today it reminded me that today marks a change in the way that I've shared what my healing journey, because that's really what this is I'm sharing to you guys the healing journey that I'm on and where I'm at along that path. But it's also the enlightenment, the lessons that I've learned that we can use across the board. And this season in particular, this summer, we've been going through some very difficult times, not necessarily in our personal lives. So I know y'all have been asking, and the reason, it's not mine, so it's not mine to share, it's not mine to talk about. But it has been a difficult season. It's not the first difficult season we've been in, and it might be, the circumstances may be drastically different, but the lessons are the same. And that's when I really start to learn in this season is we've been in this similar situation, not circumstances, but situation. And what did we learn here? And how can we apply that lesson to this situation? And, it really becomes kind of like a math, I'm a math geek, but a math thing to me is like, I see now across the board so many times I find myself in a place, in a circumstance, in a situation, and I think, sometimes it's, why am I here again? And it's most likely we didn't grasp the lesson. And then sometimes it's like, this is really similar And maybe you do ask, why am I here again? And maybe the answer is not because you didn't learn the lesson, but you need to learn how to apply it in a different situation. So consider that. Think about that. That's huge for me. There's so many things that have come out. Lots of things have changed, and I'm trying to think the last time that I even came live to you guys. I mean, it was probably several weeks ago. I think it was during the summer, and that's why I said that I was home with the kids. And again, this situation has taken a lot of my energy and my focus, and for many reasons. And again, it's not mine to get into, but it's hard for me even now to be live and not be completely transparent with you all, because that's just who I am. And when it's not yours to be transparent about, I've not been able to come live because this has been difficult. It's affected me deeply. It's affected people that I love deeply. It's affected my community deeply. And here's what I have learned in this situation, and it came from one of my fellow tribesmen who said that the lesson that they've taken away is, and I'm going to share this with you guys because I think that it's one of the most profound things, and I've been applying it to every situation since then, is that we normally look at something that happens in our life, and we look at the light, and then we look at the dark aspects of it. And whatever you want to call those, however you want to call them, everybody has a different terminology and vocabulary for these things. But for this sake, we're going to call it, we look at the light in it, and then we look at the darkness in it. And from the comparison, from the looking at the two, division enters immediately. So what this person said that they were doing is they were looking at it as the whole. And that when we look at it in its entirety, that we don't look at just the light or just the dark, but we look at the whole, it actually brings unity. And so how I first time I heard this, I could apply this to the situation at hand. But then the next time came around, for those of you who asked, Neil and I have really thankful, really blessed to have had another opportunity to go at life together. And so yes, reconciliation has occurred there, and it hasn't come without its bumps and bruises as well. But we're in a very good place. So I do appreciate people asking, and it's never being nosy because I put everything out there. And for that reason is because we all struggle, we all have problems. Right now inside this building with our Elevate students, we have one of our friends who's a retired cop having this very conversation that what I just said about we all go through stuff. I have just heard one of my teammates here say that, we all go through stuff. But Neil and I were having an argument, like when we first got back to town after our trip, and after things had we started to see that unity was occurring with us. Something happened, and it took me directly to look at the darkness in the situation rather than the light. And so applying that lesson, I looked at the whole, and with people, with relationships, with things, with situations, if you look at it, light and love always trump the darkness, the hate, the anger, whatever labels you want to put on that. And I really cling to that. So I really wanted to share that this evening before I share anything else, that has been one of the biggest lessons for me out of this. Besides applying lessons, guys, I wasn't raised in church, and then to become marry into a pastor's family, I was once told by my religions professor at UCF that I was going to have a problem being in the fishbowl, and I didn't understand that. And that comes with its own set of circumstances and its own set of problems. Not necessarily problems there, and more developed when the son of the preacher man that I married became the pastor. And then, you don't think that this place that people seek solace or they look at as a place that you hold high, that there would be problems. But you know what? There's humans. And so that's one of the lessons we learned. There's been so many lessons that we've learned in this capacity. And so again, I'm starting to be able to take those things that I've learned here and apply them in community places as well. It's because when we get to the bottom line, we're dealing with humanity, and humanity is imperfect. And we all have those moments and lapses of judgments and jealousies, and I just try to think of like everything that's been involved in this season, and I think about that the most. That I knew when I brought kids into this world that this was not a perfect world. but I've seen some really ugly things over the last couple months, and these are at the hands of adults. And I think it has really hit home to me what our kids, especially in the cyber realm, that they're really dealing with. And if adults can behave like that, how much worse are kids behaving? And I don't know. It's a scary, scary world. But today I was sharing a little bit of that with a new friend of mine who is at this new place that I'm teaching, which I'll get to that announcement in a minute. And this wise friend says that he asked that same question, he and his wife, before they had kids, and an older gentleman said to him that if good people don't have kids and don't bring kids into this world, then what will the world become? And so that gave me an added lesson to a lesson that I learned a long time ago. So we never stop learning, because it's what Josie told me today. She wanted to be she started taking gymnastics, and now she wants to be a gymnastics teacher. She wants to teach her friends here tonight how to do gymnastics, and she's been to 2 classes. And I said to her, you have to be a student a little longer than this to become a teacher. And she said, no, but I know how to do back bends. And I was like, okay, but you're not a teacher. And I said, Mommy had to, I had to be a student for a really long time in yoga before I could become a teacher. And even before then, I was a student teacher. And so, we had this conversation about jumping into things. And I don't even know, I got off onto a tangent. But just taking our time and learning the lessons. And that's what I was telling her. It's like, you have to get them. We have to keep practicing, and we keep adding, that you never stop learning. And that's what she said. Well, you still learn. I said, absolutely. And I seek knowledge daily. I really do. I pray, I meditate, and then I keep my eyes open. And sometimes I'm not talking about these eyes. I'm talking about that spiritual eye, what people will call the third eye, what my husband calls the God goggles, and look for those opportunities to learn. And so it's not been, that's where I've been. I've been absent because I know how transparent I am, and I know how difficult it is for me, especially when I feel my own stuff very deeply, obviously, this is what I do. And as a therapist, I feel other people's things tremendously. And as an empath, I've had to learn this season. That's another one of the greatest lessons that have come from this opportunity. That's what we keep saying, is this is unique opportunities. And I keep finding myself in these unique opportunities where a pocket of people, a gathering, a community, whatever you want to call it, a tribe, has the opportunity to grow together and learn. And so that was the other thing I learned, is that not as much as I'm grateful to feel at the capacity and depth that I can feel, I have to learn to set the boundaries that it cannot consume me. So that is another one of those mantras. I think about the light and the dark and the division, looking at both, looking at both, I find the unity. And the other lesson I have learned is I stand grounded, and I'm grateful for the ability to feel this deeply, but I no longer allow or give it permission to consume me. And so for those out there that may be struggling with those things, those are some strong words to say to yourself. Use them as your affirmations, as your mantras. If this is something that you're dealing with along your own healing journey, or if you're stumbled into a situation that these might be helpful for you. Those are very strong for me these days. But so yeah, that's where I've been. I've been absent. I've been tending to my tribe, and humbled and honored to do so, because I didn't always grow up with the best of people that surrounded me. And if I have learned anything in this last year, coming from all of the issue that we dealt with out west when all of our stuff was stolen, and how our tribe surrounded us and held us in those moments, and how they held me, and even held judgment, didn't reserve judgment on my husband when we were going through our difficult times. I see it's nothing but an honor to be able to repay that same thing. I'm learning more and more that our vibe truly does attract our tribe, and it's very inspiring to me to think you know somebody and then find out you really knew they were the person that you thought that they were. And so I think, and I applaud all of you out there that have been around and have handled things so beautifully. It touches my heart, and I can't get into any more of that, because again, see, here I go, and I want to be careful what I talk about. So 1 year ago today, I brought this live, and I'm so uncomfortable doing this. I much prefer to write it and rewrite it and edit it and rewrite it and make sure that it's good. But I also realize that this leaves me way more transparent, way more vulnerable, because I don't have much of a filter, and you see me. I'm getting better at it because thus far I've done well. But that's what this whole thing was about, was bringing it to you guys and bringing lessons that you can apply in your own lives, that essentially enlightened parts. Because, as I said to Josie, we never are not students. And the moment that we feel that we're not students of life is probably the moment that we need to check ourselves the most, because when we think we know it all, that's when we probably know the least. Think about those teenagers. Inside right now, and I tell them all the time, the frontal lobe is not fully developed, so that explains why you behave the way that you do, but it does not excuse the behavior. So what is the excuse for the adults that are behaving like insane people? I don't know. Anyway, we'll get into things that it's not my business to get into if we talk about that can of worms. So I went, I took my sister-in-law, shout out to her, gave me this wonderful little recording tool for Christmas, and that I never use. I don't have it now. Look, I'm shaking. So that I would be able to have like a little tripod and be able to not shake the camera as I'm coming live. And I haven't been coming live as often, but it came in really good and handy the other day for the yoga challenge. And so I posted yoga challenge on my Facebook page. I posted it in the refinery, and we got lots of response. Private emails, and so a lot of you were asking, like, can you do something like that we can do something more on a basics level. And so I had done a sun salutation, which is pretty basic vinyasa, and so I got even more feedback that, like, can we get even more basic than that? And so I think starting tomorrow, I'm going to every day through the Labor Day weekend, we'll just see where it goes. I'm going to just post a little blurb, a little something that you can practice that will help you find a little peace in your life. So a lot of people have a misconception about what yoga is, and it really is a journey of the self, through the self, to the self. And we're talking about that biggest self, that one that we all have within all of us, that golden strand, whatever you call that in your belief system. But so yeah, I think that will be great, because a lot of you keep asking when I'm going to teach a basics class, or when I'm going to teach a class in the evening. And here's the truth, and it's going to be harsh for some of you, but I'm not going to. I'm not willing to give up my evenings for my kids. They're priority, and I think that most of you who know me appreciate that about me. And I've set some pretty stringent boundaries, and I'm going to stick to them. So no classes in the evenings, and I'm most likely not ever going to teach a basics class or nothing outside of the studio at LifeSpring that I'm already doing. But I don't care to put some things up for you guys to do at your own leisure, which is even great, because then we don't have to worry about time constraints. So you'll see that this week. I thought I would do just a little yoga basics challenge to get you a little more understanding about what it is, because you can do yoga anywhere in any clothing, in any attire. I had somebody tell me, her name was Rachel, and she was at the Wanderlust yoga studio in Hollywood, and I was saying that it was hard for me to get a practice in every day while traveling, and I didn't really appreciate doing yoga practice in the gas station parking lot. And she said, why do you have to do anything? You can just sit in the chair, sit in the passenger seat as you're transporting wherever you're going, and just breathe, because that's yoga. And I thought that's a pretty good lesson to learn. And so we'll probably work on a little bit of that, couple things that are basic. But so that's probably where, because it's the year continued, so we're well over a year for a year of yoga. That was in April, and now we found our year of going live. And so I think it is time to incorporate a little bit of what I have found to be the most healing portion of my journey, which happens on that rectangle mat. And every time I'm willing to go there, change and transformation occurs. So maybe you'll find the same thing with that, or at least you'll get a better understanding of what it's about. That won't be the only thing, and I can't promise that we'll be doing this often. Maybe a little more often now that I feel a major shift in the wind and a major shift in seasons, and totally know that this too is passing. So it doesn't mean that I won't sometimes say things and be like, oh, it said too much. And I may have even this time around, but I'd usually try not to watch these back for that reason, because if I did, I probably would never do this again. So I hope that answered questions. Where have I been dealing with things? And is everything okay at home? Everything is great at home. My kids are healthy. My husband's healthy. We are all unified and love each other immensely, and very grateful that we are in the position that we're in right now, and that things have definitely shifted there. What else do I get asked a lot? Yes, I'm still at LifeSpring. I still am managing the studios for Emily. I'm not leaving that place. I love that community. I think that it's amazing what happens there. So if you're looking for a home studio, I highly suggest that you join us. You will not regret it. Where am I teaching again? I knew there was something I would get to it. So I had the opportunity to teach. Am I supposed to make the announcement today? I don't know if I am or not. I'm going to. So I'm teaching on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, and I know that's not applicable to most of you who want evening classes, but at the Y downtown. And so they just took over the fitness facility there, and I thought it was just a really good fit. The gentleman who's the director has a heart for the community, and I just kept feeling the pull to go down there, and it was not at all on my radar. And then more so talking about elevate and the community aspect is why I went, and then quickly realized I was there for a whole other reason, because they were needing somebody to teach yoga. And so for many of you who have wanted to take yoga and have Y memberships, you can now find me on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings downtown on the 4th floor. So 8:30 in the morning. Every class, Monday, Wednesday, LifeSpring, 8:30 in the morning. And occasionally you'll catch me there at 11 o'clock on Saturday teaching. And I'll give a heads up on that too. Now, I will also tell you that that's our pinnacle class. That's level 2, hot yoga. So unless you're a yogi, that might not be the fit for you. But you can come at 9:30 to Joe's class, and you will definitely not regret that. You all have heard me sing his praises many, many times. That's who you really want as a basics teacher, is Joe. And I've been channeling my inner Joe, because my Y classes have definitely challenged me as a teacher, because I'm teaching from beginners to advanced yogis, and it really is great. It's great to be able to modify everything, and I don't know, I have such an appreciation for, and really so much gratitude for the life that I'm getting to live in this moment. And if all of the hell and all of the drama and all of the hurt and all of the pain and everything that I've gone through to get to this moment is what it took, I would do it all over again. No regrets at all. So again, we all have lived life. We have all had trauma. We have all been hurt and heartbroken. And so there is a healing journey for each of us out there. Whether you're looking for it or pursuing it is a whole different thing. But every one of us is necessary in growth and balance, transformation, evolution. So I encourage it. If you need help along the way, you don't know where to start, reach out to me. That's what I do. The refinery will be taking on some new clients. I have a couple who are first priority, because they've been waiting for a while, but and there'll be more information about that as time to come. I'm trying to figure out a way to reach more people in the little bit of a time that I'm allowing, because it's hard to do that with 4 office hours a week. So I'm working on something with that as well. So that's what's going on in my neck of the woods. What's going on in your all's neck of the woods? It's been a while. I'm gonna get up and start moving this direction, because I can't tell kids that school's important and then not get them home and in bed at a proper time. I had no idea that I would be coming out here, but I had set a reminder this morning when I saw that today was the Vlogiversary, that I needed to come live, and I didn't want to wait until the kids were home this evening, because it's our time together. But if I've missed anything, I don't think I have. Much, much love to you guys. Legs out.